Sorry, Alexa. To order, and I would ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Trustee Bingham.
Present.
Trustee Duncan.
Here.
Trustee Brennan. Here. Trustee Mansell. Here. Trustee Mitchell. Present. Trustee Taylor.
He has an excused absence. He's on a meeting in Green Bay for the school district. Working hard. Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk.
A school board meeting at 7 o'clock, working hard. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Please stay seated just for a moment. It's with sadness and a heavy heart that we start the meeting tonight. We usually rise and have the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we remember and honor our war dead who have preserved our safety. We will keep them in mind, but tonight there are two village employees that have recently passed within the last 3 weeks, and I would just like to mention a little bit about them. So please bear with me. Tonight, after the Pledge of Allegiance, we will remain in a moment of silence in remembrance of Diane Solberg, who was our village clerk in the year of 1993 before she moved on after 1 year of employment to another position. She's also the wife of Jeff Solberg, who is one of our employees that just retired recently. And then I would also like to remember Assistant Chief retired Jim Sherman. He's a 32-year veteran for the fire department. Diane passed away on September 24th, 2021. And Jim passed away last week on October 7th. Jim's celebration of his life will be this Thursday from noon to 2 p.m. at Ritchie Funeral Home. Let us keep them in our thoughts and in our prayers. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
thank you very much. Please be seated and keep Peggy and family in your prayers. Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, which consists of the meeting minutes of the 14 September 21 board meeting.
Moved.
Second.
And also contains the payment of the monthly bills, journal entries, etc. Motion by Duncan, second by Bingham. Any discussion? Anybody want anything removed from the consent agenda for further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. Okay, we are now at the point, item number 5 on our agenda is for any public comment on any of our agenda items. You can speak now or when that agenda item comes up on the agenda itself. Having a strong suspicion, the only agenda item that most of our visitors tonight would like to talk about is the special recognition in item number 7. So we will move on. And under President's report, I probably had a 20-minute speech, but I think tonight maybe we'll just wash that right away. I didn't have a 20-minute speech, or this guy here would have probably thrown me out the door already. So we're going to have a special recognition now, but before we start, I would like to call Chief Jason Warden and his mother, Mary Kaminsky, forward, please. Okay, and now I will call on Chairman Scott Stewart of the Police and Fire Commission for the Village of Fort Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before I begin, on behalf of the Police and Fire Commission and the entire village, we would also like to express our sorrow on the recent passing of retired Assistant Fire Chief Jim Sherman. Jim spent 32 years serving the village, and members of this fire department have lost a brother and a friend. And I would ask you all to join me in a moment of silence. Thank you very much. Mr. President, as I had previously reported, the Police and Fire Commission on September 13th had officially appointed Jason Warden as the new Port Edwards Fire Department Chief. We're excited about the knowledge and leadership Jason brings to this fire department, and we look forward to watching him lead this group of men and women who proudly serve our community. Today, we are here to publicly acknowledge Jason and his family for his wonderful achievement. At this time, I would ask the village clerk, Diane Tremmel, to administer the oath of office and the swearing in to the fire chief position. We want you facing this way, Jason.
Yeah. You repeat after me. I, Jason Warden,
I, Jason Warden,
having been elected or appointed to the office of Fire Chief
having been elected or appointed to the office of Fire Chief
of the Port Edwards Fire Department
of the Port Edwards Fire
of
Department
the Village of Port Edwards,
of the Village of Port Edwards,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties
and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties
of said office to the best of my ability.
of said office to the best of my ability,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
And at this time, we'd like to ask Jason's mother, Mary, to pin the fire chief badge on Jason.
Yeah, right.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
No speech, chief? No. Congratulations.
We've got cake out in the truck bay whenever you guys wrap up your meeting.
Thank you. We can wrap up quickly knowing that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Good job, Mary. Okay, going into committee reports. The first one on the agenda is the Airport Commission. Going back again, gentlemen, good please. The Airport Commission, we're going to review the proceedings of the commission, and we happen to have Jeremy Sickler, the airport manager, here again for his quarterly report. So instead of Boz talking or me talking about the results of the commission's last meeting, we'll hand it over to you, Jerry, and then if you want to go right into your Airport Commissioner's report. Airport Manager's report.
Okay, well, I guess that's where I would start. I mean, this, what you see here is unfortunately only the last month of September. Do you guys get the manager reports every month distributed?
Yeah, they're in our minutes.
They are, okay. Once again, if there's ever any shortcoming of information or anything more I can provide for you guys, don't be afraid to call or somehow get in touch with me. There's one thing I'd like to highlight about this year as opposed to last year and previous years is how tremendous our fuel sales and just revenues in general have been this year. Certainly a noticeable pent up demand for travel and for use of the airport. So it's been, while it's been rewarding, it's also certainly been a little bit tiring from time to time to keep up with it. But things are looking good out there. As far as numbers go, we're on pace to far exceed our previous high water mark as far as revenues out at the airport. Summertime, of course, is not, there isn't a whole lot of time to do any major or undertake any real big projects, internal projects, that is, because we just scramble all summer to keep up with the aircraft. So not a lot to talk about as far as other projects that we've done this summer, but looking forward to a couple of projects in the future over the winter and up until next spring, getting the fuel system put in, the one that will be replacing the one we currently have out there with 30-year-old underground tanks that insurance company does not really like the fact that there's that old tanks underground out there. So, and then Trustee Bingham brought up the fact that he heard a rumor about the airport buying houses out there. There is a project going on where the airport will be acquiring navigation easements, which will eventually lead to removal of trees, which are obstructions to the approaches. But if there are houses being purchased or offers being made on houses, that's not part of the airport project. So there again, if you could believe every rumor that came up about the airport, I probably have lost my job many years ago. So,
I was just glad it wasn't in Port Edwards.
yeah. But that's going to be a long-term ongoing project. I think I described that. I gave a little bit of detail on that last time I was here. So once again, if you have questions, if you hear rumors, don't be afraid to give me a call or stop by or email, pass a message through Joe, however it may be that you'd like to get in touch with me. I guess one of the main reasons I'm here this time of year is, of course, for the budgeting of the overall airport budget, and then the municipal contributions that feed part a majority of the revenue for that budget. So if you just, the second and third pages are the revenue side and the expense side of the budget that I put there for 2022. And the 2021 actuals, you'll see where we're at as far as, I call it the budget performance report, that where we're at deficiently or excessively in revenues and expenses. Generally, I think we're, especially revenues, like I said, once again, we're well on our way to beat the previous year's higher, high water mark for previous years, and expenses are still well within budget. So I guess the most critical part that everybody here probably wants to talk about is the 2022 municipal contribution from the village. You'll see your contribution per the calculations that's put together by the city's finance department went up $20 this year, from $8,010, which was the budget from 2021, to $8,030 for 2022.
Okay, Chairman, if I could just stop you right there, so we're going to lead into it. I'm glad you brought that up. The motion, if you look, trustees, on section 8A, item 3, to review the budget proposal motion, and we had listed here by mistake, my mistake, $7,880, and that should be the $8,030 that Jeremy had just mentioned. So I'm going to amend that with your approval from the 7880 to the 8030. And that would be a motion at this time to amend it to the 8030. Do I have a second? Okay, Zerflu, Mitchell on that motion, and now I will read the motion to review budget proposal for 2022. Motion being to approve the village contribution to the 2022 Southwood County Airport budget of $8,030. Do I have a motion on that?
A motion.
Mansell, do I have a second?
Second.
Bingham, and discussion.
What's the justification for increasing it by $20? Oh my God.
Well, I'm not getting any richer, that's for sure. No, it's just the way the percentages work out when all of the
I'm joking.
Yeah. Because
$20.
so what I do the past 5 years that I've been here, I've kept the bottom line collective contributions at the exact same they were when I got here, which is 143 such and such dollars. So with that in mind, as equalized values among the municipalities change up and down, you'll see some minor variations. In fact, if you look at the other ones on that,
So that's about 10% of inflation. That $20 constitutes about 10% of inflation. So you don't need to justify it.
okay, I'm just
Okay, it's minuscule. I can't believe you were only asking for $20 when inflation's around 4.5%.
Oh.
So
yeah.
I'll give you 20 if you be quiet.
okay.
I did get that. I did get that you were joking, but with every joke, there's some seriousness. So I would, just in case there was any question, I would explain how the equation makes its way to the budget.
That's easier to back.
So I would just, Mr. President, I would just ask Jeremy, there's no offense to you guys. My job is to inform the trustees all the information to make sure we do informed decisions in our village. And this is taxpayer money. And like I've come to some of the board meetings, we really need to explain to my citizens, our citizens, what's the value of what we're paying. We need to look at, in the future, a better way to present that information. So when there's meeting 10, either through myself or the president, we can relate to our citizens, you know what, for this $8,000, it's not a lot of money. We are getting X, Y, and Z. And it's hard to fathom right now. It's hard to get those data points, because what you ask a citizen right now, a plane lands, it goes to play golf in Rome. But I'm paying $8,000 of taxpayer money every year. Okay, so I would just ask moving forward before next budget time, we try to get some metrics and some data so it's an easier sell for us. And then we're informing the trustees appropriately. I'm concerned 37% of your budget is on wages. You only got a couple employees there. I'm concerned almost 30% of your budget is on capital improvements. But we don't even do that at our level. So there's some interesting data in the budget of the airport that if going on years and years from now, it would be a concern to me as a taxpayer. And I would ask that as we move forward, for the small amount that we pay as Port Edwards, there's a better explanation of what the value of the money we're getting. What's the return on investment for our meager $8,000? I would just ask that moving forward in the monthly meetings and definitely come budget time. Because when I look at the big numbers and I got to articulate that and present that information to the trustees, you know, if you can't sell me on that, I'm not going to be selling it to them. Okay? That's my concern. That's all I need to say.
I would like to have some idea of how many of those planes from outside the area land and stay overnight. If you don't know, just kind of maybe that's something to keep in mind in the future.
Better than half.
Okay, because those people, that means they're staying in the hotels in town. There aren't any hotels out at the golf course. They're going to be eating in the restaurants in town. They're going to be stopping at the coffee shops on the way to the golf course. They're going to be stopping in the bars in town on the way back from the golf course. This is the kind of stuff that makes a difference when we're trying to talk about the multiplier aspect of spending this money.
And you hit it right on the head. Unfortunately, without some nebulous multiplier that's put into economic impact study or something like that, there's really not, I hate to say it, but it's hard to quantify with any accuracy a dollar for dollar value. The commission has in the past done an economic impact study. I mean, it's more than 10 years old, so it's obsolete now. With the recent trend and changing activity change and the trends that we've had, it's been suggested that it might be worth our effort, and for me to put in the effort this winter to get the basis for an economic impact study.
You wouldn't even need to do a full study. I mean, we're pretty bright people around here. All you need to do is tell us how many planes come in, how many planes go out the same day, versus how many planes are there for a couple of days. And having that in mind, we know they're not sleeping in tents out on the side of the road. We can kind of figure out what we're talking about. So, you know, and I think that's what we need to do. I think that's Boz's point, that being able to talk to the constituents and say, this is what this airport brings.
And at the last meeting, I mentioned, I don't know, 3 or 4 business entities just within Port Edwards specifically that we've seen aircraft flying in to support or to visit or to do either vendors flying in or potential clients flying in, whatever it may be. So there are, again, I mean, it's not my business to ask them what they're doing here. So it's hard. In many cases, I just kind of know what they're doing based on who's there to pick them up or where they're going when they get here. So there are little things like that, but once again, it's kind of a.
It's a government agency. It is your business. Sorry to say.
Well,
Government run by taxpayer funding. It is your business.
I can't ask them what they're doing though.
Well, you could certainly say, hey, we're just trying to keep an idea of the impact the airport has on the community's economics. We have a questionnaire. Would you be willing to fill it out? If they say no, fine.
Yeah.
If they say yes, you know, like how long are you gonna be here? Where are you staying? Did you eat in any of the restaurants in town? That type of deal.
You know, they do have lodging out there. And so they're not, I doubt seriously if they're staying in town because they're, I don't know the number of rooms available in those chalets or whatever they call them. And they've actually talked about, well, here's another rumor. And I used to be more connected when they were first coming to town through the Convention and Visitor Bureau, but they're talking hotel too, you know, and which I understand, but you know, we'll spend more time talking about $20 or $8,000 tonight than we will on a $3 million budget. I promise you. And we're gambling on opportunity. Somebody flies in and says, boy, it's a nice area. Man, I'd like to move my little company here. Or even retire here, you know, that's money in the area. I see it as an investment. I'm not looking for the actual, for $8,000, the way we talked about $8,000 the other night in FHR, like, you know, and I can defend that to citizens too. But I see it as an investment in good things happening out at Sand Valley, at the airport. And we've had good weather, so they're still coming. You know, Sand Valley will keep rolling as long as it doesn't snow. So I disagree a little bit, Boz, you know, about saying, Jeremy, you have to define that 8,000. I'm not sure it is doable. You might want to, I don't know what connection you have directly with Sand Valley about how many people lodge out there, how many people rent cars. They don't rent them locally, because to my knowledge, there's no car rental locally.
L&L Motors probably brings over.
Oh, L&L does a lot? Okay, that's right. I know, okay, they do rent, okay. I won't belabor this, but it's just like, yeah, you know.
And I'll tell you that there's a lot of people staying in town because my daughter waitressed out at Sand Valley for a year and kind of kept track of what was going on and what was doing. And there's certain reasons why they wanted to go into Wisconsin Rapids as opposed to staying out there.
Okay.
Well, my guess would be that the town of Rome gets more than we do.
Oh,
that
sure.
They benefit more economically. And I don't know, does the chamber have an economic development person?
They do.
Okay.
But even
I
then,
think they could develop it.
people that work and live out there that run the hotels, where are they buying their groceries? They're coming into Rapids, they're coming into wherever.
No longer at Pritzels.
Yeah. Well, they'll be quick trip.
If I might add one.
Wrap her up.
Okay.
If you would.
Even if it's not necessarily always the golfers that are staying. Many of the golfers do stay down there on resort, but here, just specifically at the airport, all the pilots, all the flight attendants, they're the ones that spend the time.
Okay.
So there's at least 2 pilots and in some cases the flight attendants. So that's 3 people that are in the rooms that could be over two nights stay. That's 6 room nights and all those meals. So again, the golfers might prefer to stay at Sand Valley, but the crews are here in town. They rent vehicles and I see they come back with grocery, bags. So they're, thank you for the time, sir. That's all I need.
Yeah, I must apologize to the board because I let a very good discussion get going, but I neglected, we have a motion on the table, so that's mea culpa for me. So we had a motion by Mansell, second by Bingham to approve the $8,030 for our 2022 budget contribution for the airport. Is there any more discussion on that matter? Hearing no request to speak, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you, folks.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Jeremy, thank you very much. It's I do have to ask you one question. You still have that penthouse out there at Sand Valley? Do they still furnish that for you?
Oh, it's even tender now.
Well, good, you deserve it. See you, Jeremy.
Next time I see you, there'll be snow off my boots when I walk in. So, have a good night, folks.
You bet.
Oh, yeah, well, that I.
Okay, we'll move on to section 8, B as in boy, and I'll call on Chairman Stewart of the PFC.
Mr. President, I have nothing else to report. Our next meeting is to be determined as the.
Oz, you have anything?
We got 2 applicants coming through the queue, so.
Oh, very
you
good.
should have them by the end of the month.
Excellent, thank you.
Or fire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much,
Thanks,
everyone.
Scott.
Thanks,
You
guys.
bet. Come on.
Mr. Stewart.
What's your water?
Okey dokey. Chairman Bingham, Public Works, please.
Okay, we met the 16th of September, evidently, and Ben gave us a very good overview of projects for next year. And we reviewed the budget, and I cannot say without reluctance that I feel the Public Works Director and myself as chair and in concert with Boz, we're comfortable. And Boz, correct me if that's inaccurate, but I left the meeting going, good. I felt really good. Some explanation for me as I get older. Obviously down the road in 2023 or whatever that's going to be, you know, we're going to maybe face a few more challenges, but that's down there. We'll, you know, we have opportunities to solve any contingencies as we go forward. So we felt very comfortable with the budget for Public Works, the work we're going to get done, the projects that are going to happen. Even made some people happy on, what is that, Town Line Road?
Range line.
Range line, I always want to call. And I had people actually call me who are not residents that travel it every day, and they go, oh my God, thank God. Yeah, I said I did that, don't worry. But actually, Ben saw the need. It was, we did put it as a lower priority. And I've told people that just because of the usage, but we're making people happy that way. So anyway, I felt very good. If you have any questions on Public Works budget or equipment, or, you know, we're being very, I don't want to say frugal, but very, laying it out very well, planning it very well planned, I feel. So that's all I have. No motions to do, to my knowledge. And that's my report.
When's your next meeting?
Canceled. It's Thursday, whatever that date is. Thanks, Joe. So, well, because 2 reasons, and thank you. No, I should have mentioned that though, Joe. Thank you.
I wasn't just being a smart one.
No.
I didn't say that for that reason.
No, and I'm glad you did. One
I
is,
do appreciate Trustee Mitchell.
yeah, it's all Sue's fault because she can't make a meeting for 6 months, it seems like, but no, Sue is gone. Ben is hunting both Thursdays we looked at. We could, you know, and then I talked to Boz after our last, I said, unless something blows up and we have to talk about it, excuse me. I didn't see a need at that time because we pretty much finalized the budget for the department and got a project report. So yeah, thanks, Joe. No, that's good to put in there that we are canceled.
So we will scratch the October 21st, 4 o'clock meeting in Public Works.
Yeah,
All right.
I mean, yeah.
You owe me $25.
Okay.
All All righty, moving on, onward and upward. Chairman Mansell, Parks and Rec, please.
We met September 23rd. Kind of went over what's going to be happening in the fall, October. Obviously, we're doing trick or treating, trying to work with the school, and coordinating with something like that. I haven't heard anything from. I really haven't talked to anybody. So we'll obviously trick or treating like normal. Calendar will be published to Facebook and the village websites during the week. Trinity Church, which is down by the football field, figured out which church it is, blocking off the fencing for their alley and parking lot for a trunk or treat event. So there's that. Discussion, really no on the budget, no change. We have $77,000 for parks. Then that American Relief Plan is about $90,000. Splash pad is $100 over budget for 2020. Do you remember why? I don't remember why. Just water usage.
Water utilization.
Because it's an actual. It was like
Too warm this summer.
Well, it was a warm summer. It's like a full summer. Because I
Yeah.
think we finally got the true look at it. Other than that, big projects, replacing the rotten timbers in the warming house and building that stone wall that's up on the bank at the pond. It's starting to cave in, bends out with the rocks coming down. So we'll have to fix that. We also looked at that community survey. Looked really what we went through that. Most people are pretty happy with what's going on in the village. So, and then grant money to make 5 signs along the village bike trail. Wood will be provided by the village, otherwise the rest is from the grant. Hoping to install before snowfall, which probably is inevitable at this point of the fall. Dog park raised $17,000. The goal is 30. Still working on that. Probably not till spring of next year. It looks like. That's really about it. Besides the kayak thing, but otherwise, next meeting October 28th. Any questions?
Thank you, Betsy. Betsy or Tier, do you want to take public safety now that Eric is not here?
All right, we met for public safety October 5th. Reviewed the budget and everything from fire departments and police departments. Nothing too. A couple of things for the fire department we're looking at for budget wise, trying to plan, have a little bit more of a capital investment plan. Air packs that are needed, radios, turnout gear that just needs to be replaced every couple of years. We're going to try that instead of bulking everything at once. The fire chief, the new fire chief wanted to kind of stipend the money for the officers to get more money, but that's all within his budget.
Can you explain that, please?
So what his plan is like the first assistant chiefs get, I don't know if bonus is the right word, but a check at the end of the year. Once the review,
leadership pay is what we're calling
leadership pay. Review, like if they meet their requirements for being first assistant chief, like there's gonna be a checklist.
So there's X amount of dollars. Let's say it's 2,500.
Sure.
And I think it is 25.
I was gonna say I should think you're
And so the new chief, he would normally get that. The chief would get that. Okay, I just trying to understand it.
Yep.
So Jason is saying, well, our two assistant chiefs.
Two assistant chiefs.
And he wants to spread that around. I mean, that's great. I'm just making sure I understand it. Yeah.
And they're gonna do it at their annual review so that
he's going to tie it to some
in with that.
metrics.
Is there gonna do a merit
counseling.
type thing?
Yeah.
Well, you should have fun with that.
My own
Can we
goes
open
on.
that can of worms?
Yeah, my own.
That's actually the way the Badger football and basketball team pay their assistant coaches.
Really?
There's an allotment that's an addition to their base, and the head coach decides how to divvy it up.
Other than that, there wasn't a whole lot. looked at the budget, everything is checking out. Any questions?
No, but I'm just gonna, the latest edition of the municipality has really caught my eye because I've heard some talk a while before about the, for lack of a better term, merging, but it is a time for a statewide fire EMS response. If you have not read this article, please read it because this sooner than later, I'm sure will start to be talked about. And the paragraph right here on page 2, second from the bottom, pretty much lays out the whole thing about explaining merging and neighborhood things, you know, smaller departments without a referendum by the people to keep it going as is. It might come to the time where we either merge with surrounding departments, which could be a good thing or a bad thing, or the other thing, or saying that it is cost prohibitive to do anything, but basically smaller agencies are going to be kind of like damned if they do and damned if they don't situation coming up. So it's a really good article. This guy's got a pretty good track record from Milwaukee County. The article. So thank you. That's it.
That's it.
Okay, Dana, could I impose on you to take FHR and then planning the bid committee, please?
Sure. We met on October 7th. We passed the bills. We had a lengthy discussion regarding the budget. Going through the various aspects. We'll continue to be doing that more formally as we go forward. That was basically the meeting. So going on then to Pitt, had the meeting again on October 7th. We had a motion that I will present, a motion to approve or the subdivision of 4 parcels of Grand Rapids located around Deer Road, parcel 030103, which is not in the village, but which we apparently have, and I still don't understand this, some oversight over, even though we have no oversight over it.
It's actually in our ordinance. We wrote it in there that within 1 mile of the village, we will have a say. The county approved it. We could always back out of that if we want to, but I had a very lengthy discussion with the county, and they basically said, "You guys asked for this. We don't care, but you guys want this." So it's a future discussion.
Do I have a second? I lost control again. Thank you. Okay, continue, Boz.
I do. No, that's it. It's just a quick pencil drill that we do.
Yeah. All right. So.
All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying
Aye.
Opposed?
All right, and then we had a discussion, and I will move approval of the resolution 2021-08 as far as division of into separate wards and making it actually codified that we are elected at large, which apparently was not in the village ordinances before. So we've only all been sitting illegally for the past however many years.
Second. Aye. Mitchell? Okay, any further discussion? I would just like Boz or Dana, if you will, just to surmise once more what all this entails and to reassure me that we're not going to have 6 people running for trustee out of Ward 2.
No, so you have the ward division from the county resolution that drove this discussion. And then sitting with our legal counsel, we cleaned up our language. So basically we have 3 wards. You have our ward map here, basically Port Edwards proper, Ward 2, north of Verbunker is Ward 3, and then everything else is Ward 1. The numbers there are just the actual census number, just for reference. So I just kept them on there. But it basically made sure we have our 3 wards, which we had 3 wards. They were in our ordinance. But we did, and we also identified the polling places here. We were supposed to. You should have a polling place per ward. We decided we just have one, which is totally legal. And that's all we need. So this is our one
Totally
polling place.
legal?
Legal.
Oh, I think it's totally
Yeah, no,
legal.
it's
I'm like,
legal.
wait.
For the size of our village, we can have one polling place. And then what we did add, like Mr. Duncan mentioned, is that we added be further resolved that all our trustees are elected at large for a 2-year period, blah, blah, blah. And you do not have to live in the ward that you represent or you don't represent a ward. So that will get us clean up the ordinance, and that will make it open to wherever you could have 7 people living right outside the municipal building. That's fine.
Anybody else? Okay, all those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
That's all I had.
Okay, under unfinished business, item number 9A, update on DMI and the way ahead, Boz or Dana or both.
Quick update, had a discussion with Mr. Moore last week. They did settle an undisclosed amount, but the impression I got was it's not what they were looking at, but they did settle. That will, they immediately contacted the county, and they're working out their payment of their past due taxes. So that's good news on their part. And then we started having a discussion of what's physically going on. So the rail yard is actual work going on. This is the big month for doing a lot of the switches. And they actually sent a bid for 3 demolition contractors to continue the work, tearing down the old. So that's an active bid that's going on right now. 2 are local within Wood County or nearby Portage. 1 is coming up from the Milwaukee area. So that's their job. They're doing that. And we'll continue to move out. He is putting together a 504 grant or 504 loan, working with Nakusa Port Edwards Bank. And he's also giving me information to submit a legacy grant for the Riverwalk. So they're providing the architecture schematics and all that type of stuff. And I'll have Kelly will be working on that as a project to submit that to Legacy the next month to see if they can give us money to at least get that going, and then connecting that to our trail past the statue, and then takes you out Filtration Road. So it's kind of a bypass to get around going out that.
As long as John don't get off that pedestal and walk that, I'll be a happy camper.
I feel good. I haven't had a discussion with Dana yet. I'll leave it up to his expertise. The need to continue a legal representation of the lawyers, how long we want to carry that out. We're not getting billed a lot, right, Diane? We're not getting a lot billed, so it's not costing us much right now. But there's probably going to be a point in time we're going to say, what I would offer to recommend is, if his firm can do it, is translate them to helping us with that link. There's some issues bubbling up over there. So maybe redirect his efforts to help us with that link. But we got to just figure out, do we need legal representation? All right.
Dana?
Not in a public setting.
So that would be a private meeting of the special committee with DMI personnel?
That would be my
Okay. All right, Boz, take 9B and C.
We have a meeting. Yeah, you're with that. Okay, so we're having a meeting Thursday with the DOT. I included the graphics here so you have a better reference of what we'll be talking about. This is the repaving and moving in of 5473. So what I included to get, because there's a lot of confusion of the reduction, this is the best way to look at it. We are really losing at the most about 4 to 5 feet. That's all. Because they're really enlarging the actual traffic lanes, not getting us a full pullover lane, but enough room where you could emergency pull over and people keep passing. But I wanted everyone to be aware they're not, they will move into sidewalk. That is discussion, or not, sorry, the curb. They will not move the sidewalk, and they will not move the, right now, they will not move the lamp posts. So just understand that they're going to come in here, put us new curb and gutter, give us a new chip or a new surface, and but those 2 items that are not on the table right now, but that's our Thursday discussion. And then the only additional note is the bypass. So just for reference, that's the map. So they're really going to redirect all the traffic basically across the Coosa Bridge up north. That's for people using 73. What will do, and I sat with Scott, our police chief, and we'll work this in more detail. So this map will show there's an area that is off limits for the road traffic. But if you're a Port Edwards resident, we'll have some interior lines for moving traffic around to get you to Rapids or Nakusa. And that'll be run by a combination of DOT, county, and our police department with some signage to direct local traffic. So where you will see local traffic only signs will be basically at the Amico and up there at Seneca Road. Hopefully to keep just local folks coming near, we'll assist with that direction. And that'll be a Thursday discussion we'll have. Any questions on that?
Echo Lake.
Had a meeting with DNR, had a meeting with residents. That went well. DNR is they were very appreciative and it will be helping us with a weed mitigation because now we as a municipality will eventually take ownership of the surrounding properties. They are more forthcoming to provide assistance, funding, grants to assist with the weeds problems. That's been a constant problem with our residents over there, the soon-to-be residents, and we're still working with them on the services being provided at that point in time by the village. And I really get a good feel that that's not really the issue. The issue is, will we as a village look out for their values and help with the lake? So I think if we can address those two in some capacity, they're really, I did not get a vibe from any of them that they're really screaming foul on the tax increase, as long as they see something from benefit. So looking at a winter session, a town hall format, that we would have some trustees at that meeting for the bulk of them to have a further discussion. After a DNR will be present, they've offered their services to better explain that. Just a reference point to treat that lake one time and basically gets us about a 5-year coverage is about $100,000. That's a one-time treatment, it's chemical treatment with weeding machines. The DNR folks says that that's all you would need for the size lake. They can almost guarantee it.
So that's on us.
Well, that's cost. Now that's a combination of us, homeowner association, lake association. So that's the discussions we got to have with the residents, and they are very, very wanting to establish their own lake association to focus on the lake. If we can just focus on all the other services being provided, like we should as a village. So that's an opportunity for us to kind of back out of the lake, let them worry about the lake with dues, and then we just worry about trash pickup, roads, and that sort of stuff.
So that now.
Yeah.
And I think the county is going to be willfully drawn into that too.
County was at our meeting, Mr.
Only because we're going to be, whether we want to or not, with the drainage up in 64th Street.
Yes.
In the area for Wazecha, and since we're on the bottom, we catch all the crap that comes downhill. So we'd be a partner on that.
County offered grant money this year to provide a study with the University of Madison to help us with the weed problems. So that was offered immediately. So we'll see. And the last one, I believe, was
10A.
Yeah, so we've been continuing to inform our villagers and good news on communication. This came up, this was a notice from a couple trustees. They got this notification. I did some research on it. I owe you more, and I'll bring it up through probably Kate or FHR. But if you want to look at how Marshfield presents their data to the residents in an app format, what this basically would do is give any villager, anyone that has this app, access immediately to their ordinances, to meeting schedules, live meetings like this. They're very user-friendly, and I think it would be a valuable tool. Let me get more information. Initially, it's about a $2,000 a year cost, but they manage it all. They run the IT, they build us the app, they do the graphics. We just got to make sure that our folders, I'll call them, are populated with minutes and that type of stuff. And then they'll link to it. So I think it's a good tool to use for the Times to get our villagers more information, very relevant information. We're not going to be a two-way discussion. That's more expensive. More expensive, but like you can't pay your bill. You can't say, hey, my neighbor's not clean cutting his grass and send us a photo. They have that option, but for the bare bones, $2,000, it's really just another method where through their phone with alerts and stuff, it may be a viable tool to keep our residents engaged.
We have a very good.
More to follow.
You call the police department and tell them where the property is and they'll go check.
Well, yeah, no, you're right.
So do we know the hits on our website? Is that up or about the same since we went with the newsletter out there? And I mean, I go out there, of course, as a board member, I go out there quite frequently, but.
I'd say on average, because it's not really a live document, we just post stuff.
Right.
Maybe 30 to 50 hits a month.
Wow.
Maybe. We get more.
20 of them
Facebook
are probably
posting.
me.
Yeah, we get more with Facebook posting.
I think between you and John, you're getting the number.
Yeah. Our website, it's informative, it's just very static.
Right.
A tool like this, they use the website, that's where the links would go.
Yeah.
But it's more in their hand, on their phone, they say, what's the village? And they'll actually get a notification if I post something, hey, hydrants, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
We do that on Facebook, but they would get a notification to their phone, it would remind them about meetings like this. And they could just go straight, like they could dial right in right now to watch this meeting. It's an interesting tool, it's not that pricey.
I love tools like that,
Yeah.
but if I'm just thinking out loud here on the utilization of it by our, that's all I'm thinking.
That's my concern too.
I mean,
Yeah.
if it's $2,000 a
It's
month.
$2,000, it's just a year.
A
They
year.
lock us in for 5, 10 years, 20 year time.
I
So
mean,
maybe something.
I like
less
it.
than
I like the
that.
idea, but if we're getting, the board is the only one hits on it. It's like,
Sure.
I don't.
I'll get more information and we'll.
Yeah,
Just wanted to float it out there because they just hit me up this week.
I got room on my phone, so yeah. So
Did you use the term village residents? I like that.
in lieu of
I just think it's a joke that it's
Villagers.
villagers, that sounds like they're coming to Burn. Here they are. What
That's
a,
all I got, sir.
what a state.
Medieval time. No, you
Like
got
the
one more to
villagers
go.
got Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Village administration.
I do, and I apologize, there's no actual report. I'll put one in the official record. No issues with staff, no issues with budget. We talked enough about it. For information purposes, we do have the restaurant is permitted appropriately, following the ordinances, and he's going to town, downtown there. You'll see some exterior work happening and interior work. So that's a very, looking forward to that. He's still giving me about a 2-month opening date to start serving breakfast and lunch. So we'll see how that goes.
Start taking me to breakfast.
I'll take it.
Something that, just so you're aware, there was an applicant that came that supposedly rented one of the Mr. Noble's properties. So he's asking questions about restaurant permits and alcohol licenses. We will provide him all the information. Diane did that. And we'll see what type of request he submits. And we'll hold him the same accountability as we hold anybody. So that is ongoing for one of those properties down here. It's a local guy, but he's just renting from the property owner. We talked Halloween. There'll be another CSM that just came today, but just referenced the power distribution site out there on 73 across from the switch. You don't know that site? Alliant wants to combine those 4 parcels into one because they're doing some construction out there. So you'll see that floating up in the next few weeks here for approval.
Makes sense.
Kind of same, but that one's in the village. So it's the same thing. I'll provide you all the data on that once they submit. And I will be at the League's conference in Green Bay next week, Wednesday through Friday.
You mean
The
Eric?
annual conference. So,
Meeting Eric there? No, he's only
no,
there.
he's there this week. I'll go next week. That's all I got. Sir.
He's on another nickel, a different nickel.
That's right.
Diane?
School's Nick.
No, nothing.
Okey dokey. Trustee comments.
For
None.
the record, Betsy, I won't be at the next Parks Committee meeting. On the 28th.
You won't be at the Okay, I'll make sure I'm there, Betsy.
If you need somebody, give me a call. I don't have my kit.
I actually have some.
What? I'm sorry, Dan.
Oh, I actually.
Oh, I thought you wanted to come to my meeting.
No,
Yeah.
I was like,
I have enough going on without taking extra meetings unless I
I
have
was
to.
really excited for a second.
No, I've been on the board now for 6 years. I was on the school board for 10. I've been on the redevelopment authority in Wisconsin Rapids. I've been on my church council. I figured out that I've spent 30 years out of my 33 years as a professional doing something for the public. Okay. And this now marks the 12th anonymous letter I've got complaining about something I personally am doing. And even though I doubt very much that this troll would be listening to this forum, I'm going to mention it. The fact that my wife walks my dogs at 6 o'clock in the morning and the dogs will see a deer once in a while and bark, or some other dog barks, is just ridiculous. If you can't send me or make a complaint to the chief about a noise ordinance violation, or approach me personally, you're not worth my time, except I still feel it necessary after this many anonymous letters to say something, because it's just annoying. It just tells me that despite the fact that I volunteer, because I'm not getting paid a whole lot for any of these positions, I'm volunteering my time to better my community, I get this kind of crud thrown at. And it's just galling. They told her she has to walk the dogs after 7 a.m. And I'm sorry, I can tell you right now, if you need to have that much beauty sleep, it's failing. So I know. So I hope it gets around. You know, once in a while, I'm not a big person, you know, about compliments or thank yous. And I always remember Dale Carnegie's second book is he talks about how not to worry, but he made a mention of a story where Jesus healed 10 lepers and only one basically came back and thanked it. So if Jesus only gets 1 out of 10, why should you expect anything? But once in a while, it would be nice if somebody said thank you for the fact that we spend this many hours doing stuff for really nothing other than to try to better our community and try to avoid these stupid anonymous letters.
Well, I could tell you a little thing about the ordinance. It has not changed as far as I know, so my time of being out. You tell your wife if she has a little bout with insomnia some night to walk the dog at 2:30 in the morning, as long as the dog is under control, which would be voice command or on a leash that you mentioned. The dog is, that type of barking will never be considered a nuisance because it's under direct control of the owner. Number two, it could be then we'd have to have all guard dogs in town, you know, including the police, not barking while they're on duty. So, and the thing about, the only thing that the village ordinance says about noise is construction cannot start before 5 or 6.
6 and ends at 10.
Is it 6?
Just construction. 6 in the morning.
6 a.m.
Okay.
10 at night, you have to shut it off.
Right.
Just construction, no, you're exactly
right.
Right.
So
I know, they even quoted the ordinance in the letter, which I thought was interesting. Thank you very much, because
That's one of the
I
hits on the
only,
website.
I only graduated law school.
John, did you
33
send
years
that letter
before.
again?
Actually, if they want to hear dogs bark, I can give them barking dogs, but not ours.
They're two golden doodles. They're like.
They don't bark that
Then I
much.
must not hear all the coyotes.
If everybody could look at item 14, make sure the only one that's canceled is Public Works. Tierra's excused on the 28th by the chair of Park and Rec, and I will fill in for that. Everything else looks copacetic. And November 9th, we're going to have a vote.
Be back over there for the draft budget,
Right.
2022 budget.
Right. And there's a good chance if that goes that Well, we'll have a couple weeks in between there if there's anything we want.
Every one of these committees will see the final draft.
Right.
Yes.
We're gonna have a lot of items in there, unlike last year was pretty much a generality. I really need that. You know, if a header says $12,000, I would like to know what's in, you know.
Okay.
That's what we always used to get.
I should be back in time for the meeting on the 9th.
On the 9th?
Yeah, I'm in Chicago that morning. They opened up the courthouse again, so I have oral arguments. And I should be back. I can't guarantee how rested and how vibrant I'll be, but I should be back.
Okay. Just, if you're gonna have trouble, just shoot a
I will.
call to Bossert myself.
I will. I always do if I can.
Okay, anybody have anything else? I will declare this meeting adjourned at 8:02 p.m.
Well, the good news is the Brewers scored 4 runs. The bad news